Hello, 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 Alligator back again. So, I've been asked by quite a few people, okay, I want to get into console systems, I want to have a dispatch console, yada, 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 yada. Where should I start? Because clearly, can't start with this. And yes, we've made it all the way down to the bottom 1U, and even then, this is already set aside for something, hence the blank panel. I might get rid of the DIU shelf if I can't get the DIUs to play nice with the CCGW, which will then open up more possibilities for more crap. And yes, I did also find another S2500, and not only did I find one S2500, I found 10 more. I now own 15 S2500 CCGWs. My bank hates me. And surprisingly, the S2500s total were still cheaper than two goddamn S6000 routers. I have purchased all the cheap S6000 routers, and now it's down to only the expensive, stupidly priced ones. Luckily, these are the last two I need. I no longer need S6000 routers unless one of the other guys in Centrunk decides they want to set up a DSR, which is basically a backup core. Then they'll need them, and I don't, because I've already got everything I need to do that. But yeah, back to that. Clearly, doing all of this is not a good way to start. Only way you're going to be able to get away with doing this is if you sit down, either A, work for Motorola, B, work for Motorola and are stupid, like in my case, C, you stole it, which I don't recommend. I don't know how you do, and yeah. So that leaves you with one other option. Okay, I still want a dispatch console. So, here's my recommendations. If you have never touched any console system before, don't know how they work, don't know the theory behind any of that, you need to start with a MCC 5500. That is one box, which is the electronic system, the console, the CES box, over a 25 pair cable, not an Amphenol, a DB25 cable, to the audio box, which looks like a VPM. I've been sent them several times going like, oh look, a cheap VPM, and I'm like, yeah, sorry to bust your bubble, that's not a VPM. So yeah, they look similar, but they're not. And that's it. Everything plugs into the back of the CES. You can find the CES for like $400-500. The cab, the console audio box, you can find for like maybe $50. Honestly, you can find them for cheap. That is dead simple and kind of gets you started. Be warned though, a lot of the ones you're going to find out there are license locked or feature locked. It's an I button on the board. I think most of them are about, I think 4 is the default, because a lot of departments have been just removing the I buttons from them for some reason. So you're probably only have about 4 analog resources. 4 wires, what it's called, because it has, 4 pairs of wires is basically what it is, because you have TX audio plus and minus, RX audio plus and minus, PTT relay closure, that's plus and minus, because when they're bridged, it's a relay closure basically. And then the activity or cost core, whatever, plus and minus, because that's also a relay contact closure. So yeah, that's all you need. So you basically just need some Cat5 cable. You know, it's what I use here for all these. You know, it's basically just doing the job of this, but in a slightly bigger box. So that gets you set up. It still has some IP with it. Not really IP, but it's got a computer attached to it. So there you go. If you want to step up from that, you know, maybe get some remote stuff going. Oops, sorry about that. You know, kind of get all that jazz going, you know, all the fancy stuff. Well, that's when you move heaven and earth or convince me to sell mine, you get yourself a Moto Bridge. These Moto Bridge units are actually quite nice. They pop up from time to time, and they do basically 8. Basically, there's 2 CCGWs in one box. They do V.24, they do ASIM, they do IP linking to MCC consulates. So they're very featured packed in a very small box. And you just run that over your home network. You can do IP networking, and then if you want to go through the fun of trying to get a VPN working and do it remotely, that's also available. So that would kind of be my intermediate, okay, now you kind of know what you're doing kind of step. So where would you go after that? Well, that depends. If you can find yourself like a, I forget who makes it off the top of my head because it's like 11 o'clock at night right now. But a Scout dispatch console, those are pretty good. But realistically, by the time you get past the Moto Bridge, you're not really going to be listening to me. You know, you're probably going to know enough console-wise to kind of come up with what you want. What do you want to do next? I mean, I don't really have a recommendation. I mean, it depends on what you want. Do you want to go full stupid and try and set up an MCC console system despite not having access to the licensing, the software, etc.? Go for it. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to tell you it's a bad idea, but I'm not going to stop you. You know, if you're going to be doing that, though, just prepare to be dropping a pretty penny on routers. Lots of routers. Because no, you cannot use any old router. Got to be one of these puppies. Or just Juniper or one of those, but that's getting nitty-gritty. But if you want a really fun project, and you also want to have the physical feeling of jumping off of a 35-story rooftop onto the ground that is filled with glass shards and giant hot metal spikes, then look into a Centricom system. Try and get a Centricom Gold Elite system working. Instead of it being I think we're right about half a rack of equipment to service basically thousands of consoles, thousands of subscribers, and thousands, few hundred sites. You need half a rack of equipment for basically, I think it's a room of dispatchers maybe. And that's not like you have to have more rack per no, it's if you want resources, you're spending at least a rack minimum. I'm not experienced with them. The people who are starting to retire, and they're starting to not want to talk about it. But you can still find them out there. There are people who still run them, and they're still very reliable consoles. It's probably more reliable than all this. So, yeah, I mean, that'd be my recommendation. Don't do MCC 7500. Trust me. It's cool, but oh my gosh, do I want to blow my brains out. Especially when it comes to getting FortiGate should have never been anywhere near the core. Let's put it that way. Not a fan. Granted, I'm trying to put a 100D config onto 30Ds, so that's probably part of my problems, but not all of it. They just have some really stupid business practices as far as getting firmware for stuff, so yeah, that's whatever. So yeah, honestly, there's my recommendations for those of you that have been asking me. Go do whatever you want with it. I don't really care. Some of you are still going to ask, you're still going to email me saying, how do I set up this? And I'm going to still have to tell you, sorry, can't tell you that. I like my job a little bit too much to be leaking company secrets and leaking internal tools and stuff. So, yeah, there's that. So yeah, y'all have a good rest of the night. As usual, DM me if you have questions. You know where to find me. Questions within reason, I should add. Do not DM me questions that are, don't try and get me fired. Not gonna work. See y'all.